This is an Alicia Lynette reading of topic request Winter Ice Fishing Treasure. Event 1. It was the day of the winter event inside the virtual world called The World. Several players, taking part solo, others in parties of 3, gathered at the event site, a large winter area under the location name Wintry Snowman's Bagpipe. It was the first event out of 3 to be held, so most were excited to see what prizes they could win. The game clock on the player screens ticked on. Then, when the time came, a sound, odd to most but familiar to some, rang out as a short NPC had warped into view on top of a stone pedestal. Lifting a hand up, a metal scroll rolled tightly appeared from green digital data squares. Pulling down the bottom, the NPC began to read from its parchment. "Here all ye be! Today marks the start of the Winter Triathlon! Those of you new to this shall soon see the wonder and glory of this event. Completing all 3 events will result in a great and rare item. The rules are simple. For this event, a player must be in a party of 3 to partake. Each party member will be given a pickaxe and allowed out on the ice behind me. Each member must then pick a spot within 5 feet of their party and begin picking. Once a hole is formed, the party member must use a fishing pole and the bait provided by me to successfully catch 4 red fish, 3 blue fish, and 5 purple fish. Then the players must check the fish for a map hidden in one of the fish's bellies. Once the map is found, the party must find a spot new to pick and make a big enough hole before diving in. Follow the map to locate a cave where 3 monsters wait. Defeat these monsters and return with their prized items. There is no statue in the back of the cave. Once you have the 3 items, leave the cave and return to the surface and report to me with your items. I will reward those successful with a ticket and a piece of an item that will be completed after the 3 events are completed. That will summon the final boss, and from there, the prizes will be awarded after the event's conclusion. Now then, on your marks, get set, go!" The NPC shouted after reading the rules. The premise was simple. Just catch fish from under the ice and find a map. The rest of it would be a challenge. She could feel it. The female player of light sun-tan skin, sporting blue triangles and waves along her arms, a mark on her forehead and some on her legs, stood ready, listening close to the rules. Her body was tensing, ready to go in, her light armor consisting of a sky blue chest plate, soft blue shoulder guards, darker blue armor surrounding her waist and upper legs in the form of a skirt divided into 6 armored flaps, and last, medium blue guards on her lower legs and her shoes of a soft blue. Yes, not the best wear for swimming, but since it was meant not to slow the movements of the wearer, she wasn't too worried, not having her weapon equipped, so her weight was average. As soon as the NPC shouted go, she was off, with her other 2 party members, one a broader male character who used a mighty lance drill, and the other a slimmer male who used blades more fit to an assassin, as she was one to use a broad blade, commonly called a heavy blade, since it took 2 hands to wield. The female player at the controls spoke to the NPC, entering his shop and buying the pickaxe and some bait. 2 containers of 100 should be enough. Once she and her other 2 party members had their items, they made their way out on the ice with the other groups, while more groups were formed and joined in as well. Finding a spot, the party of 3 quickly went to work, starting to swing hard at the frozen lake, making a dent, then getting deeper. They didn't stop. They all 3 had to catch the fish listed and each had to find the map to put them together to find the cave. It took some seconds, feeling more like minutes, but when she finally got deep enough and got a hole formed, the coating of the ice released, forming the correct size hole, but only after she'd opened it enough first. Yes! She celebrated to herself before her player removed the pickaxe and replaced it with the pole and bait, upon which the female character, grinning with baited hook, pressed the button on the pole, releasing the wire from the reel, lowering the hook, and waited, looking up with hazel eyes, holding some yellow to them, through bangs of brown and orange hair, watched as her 2 party members had begun their fishing, and looking around saw other groups had as well, and some already had a few fish. It wasn't a race, as there wasn't any placements being kept, but nonetheless she didn't want to feel like she was coming in last place. It took a few minutes of catch and release before she had caught the required fish, then began to search them for a map piece. Soon after, her party followed suit. 1, then 2, then 3 parties found their pieces and had the map, diving down after picking a bigger hole, diving under the frozen lake to go after the prize. Soon her party as well had their pieces, and once all 3 had seen the full map and a bigger hole was made, the 3 dove in, swimming down deeper and deeper. The heavy blade looked back once at the hole, then sped up, looking away, and followed her teammates to the location. Finding the cave entrance, the trio made their way in and hurried down the straight tunnel, coming to the first monster portal, spinning and releasing its almost hypnotic hum. As it glowed, and then breaking, shattering into pieces, the trio watched, staring now at a large beast with the body of a large wolf, tail of a fish, and head with the markings to be like that of a serpent with yellow eyes. The trio readied their weapons. The first to charge in was the female, giving a battle cry, the drill lancer male right behind, his lance spinning its blade. The assassin male stayed back, starting to chant, using magic based with earth spells. His hands closed and eyes also closed, as he focused, using his spells with stones on the beast that roared out a mighty cry. The monster attacked, swinging its large paw at the 2 charging it, to knock them back, being thrown off by the stones rising up, striking its body, throwing it off balance. As it got off balance, almost falling over, was when the heavy blade struck down, and the drill lancer stabbed forwards, both attacks hitting. After the 4th strike, the beast roared out as its body turned to data and vanished, leaving behind on the floor a jeweled pin. The lancer picked up this item, raising his weapon and flipping it over his shoulder, attached it to his back as he placed it there. "On to the next one?" he inquired, and both the assassin and Heavy Blade nodded in agreement. Once more they were off, continuing down the tunnel. Coming to a split in the pathway, they picked to go right. They went on and encountered the second monster portal. As it glowed and exploded out, it showed a beast on 2 legs like a dinosaur, body similar to an ogre, 4 arms, each holding a blade like a large human, and head of a gargoyle with horns. It roared out loudly and the trio attacked, the Heavy Blade and Lancer attacking with physical force, as the assassin stayed back and began to use chants of curses. this time to help make it easier to bring the foe down by slowing its speed when it swung the blades, allowing for easier evasion. When the monster was finally defeated, it exploded into data, fading away and leaving behind a golden chain with 4 jewels dangling off 4 links, which sparkled in the firelight of torches as the heavy blade picked it up. Turning around, the 3 came to the last portal. Watching it explode, a more simplistic monster took the form of a large serpent with 2 tails, a pair of wings, and 2 heads. Both heads and tails were joined in its spiked middle. He gave a hissing roar before lunging forward to strike, getting a mouthful of tree leaves as the assassin used a plant-based spell, and the fight was on once again. Using a curse, the beast's eyes glowed, slowing the lancer down as it went to strike, throwing him back with his tail. "A little help would be nice!" the lancer shouted to the assassin, who jumped back, dodging one head and striking down, throwing 3 blades at the monster's head that struck. Then 3 more at the other before, as he landed, throwing a bomb to the face of the monster, causing it to cry out loudly from the pain of the 3 blades hitting it and from the bomb exploding, casting a dark shadow to follow and stay over its yellow eyes, having caused a blindness effect. "Now, finish it," the assassin said calmly, confident in their abilities. The heavy blade female gave a battle yell as she shouted the name of an attack before swinging her blade down, taking out the monster before them. They watched it turn into data and vanish, leaving behind for them the 3rd treasure, a jar with a quill of emerald rising out of its sapphire jar that looked to hold no ink. The assassin picked this up, and with a nod the 3 took their leave, running out of the cave and swimming up towards the surface. They wouldn't be the first team to complete the event, but as they surfaced and climbed out, their clothing and hair dried quickly as it had after they entered the cave, and the 3 made their way to the NPC, pulling out the 3 items they had gathered and presented them to him. "We have the 3 treasures from defeating the 3 monsters in the underwater cave." "Ah, very good. Now hand me the items." "Good, good. So now watch as the joining process happens and gives us the legendary tool of the forgotten Riders of the Sea." Their words were so powerful in their time, they could calm any beast and bring them to surface from the water. It is even said to be able to control those beasts, if the rider so chooses to. Here is your prize for completing the event. I hope you will take part in the next event scheduled for another day, replied happily the NPC, taking the items, fusing them into one with the quill attached to the chain, and once done, the quill could remove itself from the ink jar. The NPC took this newly formed pen with a quill tip and feathered engravings, and summoned paper from the air, wrote on each one in fluid motion before handing each party member a ticket of yellow containing the information they had successfully completed the first event, and giving the date of the next part. Next, he reached into his bag attached to his side and withdrew 3 clawed paws, giving 1 to each. Keep track of those, as you will need them for the last part of the total event for the final summoning. "Thank you," the heavy blade said cheerily, glad they were successful, and turned to her party grinning. "Yes, now we just need to beat the beast, beat the last 2 events, and summon the monster and get ourselves a grand prize." "Yeah, this event is starting out a lot better than others the corporation has tried before. Hopefully the final boss won't be pitiful," the Lancer said with a chuckle as the trio walked off, discussing what they would do in the time between the current to when the next event would be held. That is the end of part of Event 1. I hope I did alright. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening.